Day 45 of Flippin Live. I'm Andrew from 510 Books, and today I want to talk about how to have longevity as a bookseller and some other stuff as well. So let's get started. Flippin Live, Flippin Live, Flippin Live, Flippin Live, Flippin Live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin Live, Flippin Live, Flippin Live, we're flippin' live. Excuse me. Good morning to anybody here live. Again, it is day 45 of Flippin Live, and it is a Wednesday morning. What is it? June 17th, 2020. So I want to talk a little bit about how to have longevity in book selling. I have been selling since 2014 online, approaching 6 years. It'll be 6 years in September, so a few months away from that. And I definitely, good morning, Brian. I definitely have some experience for some level of longevity. Definitely not compared to some people who have been doing it for much longer than me, of course, but I plan on continuing to do it for a while, for the foreseeable future. So I just had some ideas pop into my head about that. If you guys are here live, feel free to comment and chat in the what Brian says Aunt Jemima Pancake Syrups is changing its name and logo. I want to buy a few. Okay. Sure, why not, right? So I jotted down a few ideas about this. I also had some other stuff to talk about today, but I guess I'll just dive right into it. And like I said, I've been selling for almost 6 years. I started just doing books, and just selling on Amazon through FBA, and I did that for a few years, and then I started to do a little bit of merchant fulfilled, and I started to diversify into CDs and VHS tapes and records while continuing to also do books. I never stopped doing books, but I diversified. And then 3 years ago, I opened my eBay account and started trying that out, and I actually got a little bit away from books. I continued to sell books a little bit, but started to do more of the other types of media and started listing more on eBay. And now I've found a bit of a balance between the two. And I'm getting bigger into books, as you guys know who watch me consistently. Terry, hey. Okay. Okay, that's fine, Terry. It works. Either way, it's a screen, whether it's small or big. Good morning. I, uh, I've sort of circled back, and I'm going bigger into books now because of opening my local sale, warehouse sale, end of last year, and also having an opportunity to take over a bookstore that was going to close. So I've sort of gotten back into it, and now I am, instead of going to thrift stores and things like that, I am running an ad on Facebook for book donations, which, excuse me, has been doing well overall. So I just want to talk about a couple things, and some of these you can apply to all different types of, different types of businesses, but you can also apply them to this. So how to have longevity in book selling. I mean, I would say number one, be consistent. Well, these are in no particular order, but number one, be consistent. And what I mean by that is, for instance, when I was first starting, or this first couple years at least, I was really consistent about going out there and sourcing, because the number one thing you've got to do if you want to be a bookseller, whether you're selling your books on Amazon or eBay or both places, or even flipping them locally through Facebook Marketplace or any other local apps, you have to be consistent about sourcing. That's the most important thing, is finding new inventory. So, as you know, if you've been doing this for any length of time, if you've been doing it for a few years, if you've been doing it for a few months, or even longer than me, if you run out of of stock, then eventually your sales are going to start going down and dry up. So you've got to be consistent. You got to, either set a schedule or, yeah, basically set a schedule. You just have to say, either set a goal or have a schedule, and whatever you find doing that schedule is what you find. But, every day or every other day, whatever it may be. Some people, they source, 5 days a week, and they get home and they list and they ship out the next day or the same day, whatever it may be. If you're going to thrift stores, especially, those are the ones that during the weekdays are going to be the main source, excluding things like, trying to find deals on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Let Go, Craigslist, Nextdoor, those kind of places, which you can consistently look at throughout the day and at night and that type of thing, and set those up. But in terms of having consistent supply, you're probably going to want to go to thrift stores and then pay attention to upcoming garage and yard sales, and especially estate sales, which can happen during the week. I've seen them start, in the middle of the week on a Wednesday and go all the way to Sunday. So pay attention to those as well. Set those up for the upcoming week. But just be consistent and persistent about that, and so that you never run out of books, basically. Another one is find new sourcing avenues, right? Or if your current sourcing avenues are supplying you with more than enough, or more than enough stock and new books, then you might just stick to those if you don't have more time for sourcing. I know there are some people who, they've found their sources, they're loyal to them, they stick to them, and they supply them with as many books as they need, and they don't need any more sourcing avenues or any more sourcing opportunities. If things things fall in their lap, they fall in their lap, but they're not looking for other sourcing avenues. They've kind of found what they needed, basically. Yeah, Terry's been 5 years in October. Yep. Just um, I'd say that's a long time. And I'm sure he's done that. You've been consistent. You found sourcing, um, your locations for sourcing, your sourcing outlets, and you're consistent about that. So, if you're finding enough books, everyone's situation is different, right? Some people say, "Oh, I find these amount of books through these sources, and that's all I need." Right? I don't need any more, or I don't want any more, or I don't want to put in extra hours to source, and you're good. Uh, and that's, everyone's situation is different. You're either trying to do this as just a part-time thing to supplement your full-time job or part-time job, whatever it is, or you're not working and you're just looking to this as extra money. Maybe you're retired. There's all different kinds of situations. Maybe you're a stay-at-home dad or mom, and you just want to have extra money for whatever, for the kids, for travel, for retirement, for fun money, whatever it may be. Or you're doing this full time, or trying to do this full time. So everyone's situation is going to be different. That's the great thing about being a bookseller or reseller, is that you can do it as much or as little as you want. Amazon doesn't care either way. eBay doesn't care either way. Whether you are putting in 10 hours a week or you're putting in 40 or 50 hours a week. So it's all up to, how big you want to be, how many books you want to sell or need to sell, depending on your situation. So, but in order to stay in it long term, you definitely have to be consistent about sourcing. You have to find your sources and really work those and have that schedule and do it week in and week out. Otherwise, especially for any, whether it's Amazon or eBay, but especially for Amazon FBA, the smaller your inventory gets, the less books you're going to sell. It's the bottom line. Another one is, tell everyone what you do. Tell your friends and family that you're selling books. Tell your neighbors, tell whoever. It's always good to have maybe some business cards. You can get them printed up for pretty cheap, about 100 business cards. You don't have to have an actual business. You could just have your name and just say bookseller. I buy, I'll buy your books off you, or what, whatever it is, and have your phone number, and just pass them out. Just say, John Doe, bookseller, and have something about, uh, I will take your books off your hands. Whatever tagline or whatever you want to say. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just that you're a bookseller and a book buyer. If you don't want to have cards, that's fine. You can just tell people what you do, and word gets around. The more people that know about what you do, the more likely that you're gonna stumble across good deals, donations. That's why I love books more than any other type of media in terms of sort of social cachet, or the ability to open up doors and open up conversations. It's different for like CDs or DVDs or whatever, or records. But books, people tend to buy. I mean, people that read tend to buy a lot of books, but almost everybody has some books. And by and large, the consensus among people, even those people that love their books, is that books take up a lot of space. Books are heavy. Books, when they're in a box full of books, especially, are heavy, and they at some point want to declutter, or they want to free up some space, and they like the idea of giving books to someone else, so that other people can read those books and enjoy them like they did. And they're full of information, they're full of knowledge, and people like that idea. So I think that's why it's great to do book selling, or to tell people that you do it, because they look at it as a very a positive thing for them personally, because you could take books off their hands, and then for society in general. So it's not like, oh yeah, I sell life insurance, which is nothing wrong with selling life insurance, but most people don't want to talk about that. But if you say you sell books, yeah, I buy and sell books, and they're interested, right? They probably want to talk to you about it, and they'll remember that. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, everyone's situation is different. Thrift store shopping is fun when you actually find stuff, but when you don't, it feels like wasted time, and you feel let down. Yeah, for sure. Um, every thrift store run is different, even if it's to the same thrift store, from week to week or month to month. Excuse me. But usually in my experience, I at least find something at a thrift store. If there's a thrift store that I've gone to once or twice, and I just cannot find very many good profitable books, then I'll probably won't go back to that one, or I'll go there very infrequently. Yeah. Terry says he's actually lost consistent sources due to some of my thrift selling online now. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Um, yeah, that's actually, huh. Yeah, it's a surprise to me that some of them start selling online, but especially the small ones, because usually the mom and pops don't even bother with that. But I guess it does happen. Another thing is to consider is diversifying. So you can diversify within books. And what I mean by that is, uh, beyond just scanning books, um, with your scanner and using your using your Amazon or your sourcing app, is you can diversify more deeply within books, and start selling on different platforms, or selling different types of books in different types of ways, uh, especially if you're struggling. So like I talked about a few streams ago about collectible or old books, that vintage collectible books, that kind of thing, that are potentially more valuable. That kind of just started dipping your toe in that and learning more about it, watching some videos, reading some articles, and keeping an eye out for those types of things, looking online for those types of things, just as one example. The more you know about books, the better that you'll be to find opportunities. So you can diversify within books, or you can diversify uh, yeah, or you can diversify, of course, outside to other media, which is what I ended up doing, um, which I think is a good idea too. Some people want to stick just to books, and that's fine. And some are willing to diversify into other types of media, which I think is a good idea because there's always other, there's CDs, there's records, there's cassette tapes, there's VHS tapes, there's DVDs, always around books. So it makes sense to learn about those things as well. And I think if you do that, especially, you can sort of, you can, not bulletproof your business, but you can make it harder for you to have struggles to find things to sell. And I understand some people, not everybody lives in highly populated areas, so that's a little more difficult and challenging. But there's not much you can do about that unless you move, or the area starts getting more sources suddenly. But I think it's a good idea to diversify deeper into books, different types, and just learn about that as well. I know because I have started selling on eBay, and I have tried to be more aware of more rare books or collectible type books that require a little more time to look up and find out about and research, that I've been able to sell more profitable books because of that. You kind of have to know, like, oh, well, these books, these are probably ones that I can, these are ones that I can look up for Amazon. And then these other books, no, they make more sense clearly for me to look up on eBay and see if I can flip them there. Right. So then another tip is go big on one platform or diversify your platforms, which is what I'm talking about. So some people, like I started FBA and I went big, so to speak, at least as big as I could at that time, with FBA. Like I said, I had as many as 2,700 books, and not just books, but items in my inventory. That's as big as it's ever gotten for FBA. And that was before the fees went up in a few years ago. So it was a lot cheaper to have that level of inventory. Now, when I look at it now, excuse me, a lot of that stuff I wouldn't send in today because I just was newer, and I didn't quite understand, what the right type of stuff was to send in like I do now. So it doesn't mean that I don't want to have my inventory grow to that level again. I'm actually trying to, I'm just sending in as many books as I can to Amazon, period, right? But I want to get into the thousands, because my inventory got down to, I think, below 800, which is fine. I'm now sending in more books. In June, I've sent in more books than I have in a while. So, and I'm sending in some more, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, you can go big on one platform. So go big FBA, or you can go big merchant fulfilled, or you can go big eBay, or you can diversify amongst all of them. It depends on, what you like. Number one, the kind of books that you're finding, and whether you feel that you can successfully do more than one platform, or if it makes more sense for you to stick to one. What I'm really, really liking now that I'm doing more, sending in more shipments to Amazon, is I'm really enjoying FBA, because it's reminding me of when I first started, or those first couple of years of just doing FBA, and how nice it is, how much less work it is to focus on FBA. Or not that I'm focusing on FBA, but that when I get books that donated to me that I can scan and look up on Amazon, I'm really enjoying the process of not not listing them, but of just getting them up there, sending them out, and seeing the sales come in. My Amazon sales have gone up significantly in the last 2-3 weeks because of all the shipments I've sent in. And that's been huge to help my business, and just to have that running in the background is really nice as I continue to move forward with my local sale and try to figure out what makes the most sense for me with eBay, because eBay does take more time. But I want to be able to utilize it because there's just books, valuable books that I can sell on there. Not just books, but all types of media, valuable media items that I can sell on there that make more sense. But I also want to utilize my time better so that I'm not listing too much stuff on eBay that won't sell for very much money and will sit around too long and take up too much of the space that I have to store. So I'm ironing that out, figuring that out as I go forward, to balance that with Amazon. But the great thing about Amazon is, once I scan the items, price them out, then list them, put them in the box, and drop them off, I'm done, right? It's amazing to have that tool, like FBA, where they do get a good chunk of the sale, but they're taking care of everything once I ship it out. So it's highly recommended on my part to do FBA for that reason. So, but I think every individual is different. I know I read about some people in the Facebook groups who they just do FBA and that's it. They prefer to just ship it out and be done with it, and just have to deal with the repricing and the disposal of the books that don't sell. And that's it, right? They just source, list, ship, source, list, ship, and in between reprice and what do you call it? Dispose of books that don't sell. So, and a lot of that can be automated, as we know, repricers and the ability to have books disposed of automatically by Amazon after a year. So anyway, so a lot of that, is basically, those are some of the reasons why people would, stick to just FBA. And then people that have been doing just merchant fulfilled prefer that because they like to keep possession of the books, or they like eBay because for a variety of reasons, maybe that's what they started with. But for me personally, I like to diversify between the two, but I'm still working on the balance of that, especially with eBay. So another one is reinvest money into your business. So clearly you have to reinvest some profits into buying more, more stock. There has to be a percentage of the money that you make that goes back into going out and sourcing more books. That's a given, right? Because you've got to buy more stock. So you have to do that, and also reinvesting in the tools that you use. Whatever they may be, the different types of software, scanner, whatever the items that or the tools that will make your business more proficient, faster, easier for you, that type of thing. Whatever those tools are, hardware and software, which is mostly what it's going to be. But try to evolve and make it better going forward, more proficient and more to your liking, essentially. I mean, the amount of stuff that I've bought for the business, like little things like the scale, right, which is not that expensive, $30, $25. The barcode, the scanner that I use for scanning my books, just attach it to my laptop and scanning the books in when I'm listing for Amazon. Those types of tools make a big difference. When I first started, I was typing in all the ISBNs, and then when I got the scanner, that wasn't my first one. I had a few others before that ended up dying out on me, but that's the one that I have now. Makes the process go a lot faster, especially with the books, which most have barcodes, but especially the barcoded books that you're going to sell on FBA. So just, invest in that type of stuff. It makes sense. Have a proper Bluetooth scanner for when you're sourcing. You need that if you're going to do this, I mean, if you're going to be doing this full time, or you want it to be more significant income, you got to invest in that type of stuff, and be willing to buy new technology to just continue to evolve and make sure that your process is smoother, easier, faster. So that's important. Well, I had a couple others. So, you know, I think for me personally, I have to, like what I'm doing. So I said love or at least enjoy books or book selling. So do you have to be a reader, a big reader to be a bookseller? No. Do you have to even like it? No, not necessarily. I personally, I've been a reader my whole life. And I'm, uh, I love books. I've always loved books. I like to flip through books. I like to find cool, different new books on different topics and see what's out there. Um, but guess what? You don't have to love it. You don't have to enjoy books. You don't have to be a reader, even, which to me is strange, but that's fine. I've seen many people who say that, oh no, I'm not into books. I'm not a book person, but I make a lot of money selling books. So you clearly don't have to, but I just find it bizarre that you'd want to do something, just for the money. But I guess people do that all the time. But I guess you could just get a job and do that, right? But to me, it's strange that if you're going to have your own business and have more freedom and not have a boss, except for Amazon or eBay being your boss essentially, and your customers, that you're going to do something that you don't necessarily like or you're not really into. It would be kind of like me selling, I don't know, selling Avon products, or even just trying to flip like clothes on eBay. I don't care about reselling clothes, so why would I do that? Oh, I could make tons of money. Well, that's fine, but I'd be miserable while I do it. So, but if you don't love books, but you don't mind book selling and you're doing well, I mean, sure. But I suspect that most people that sell books online, or resellers, are readers or like books. I suspect that most are, you know. Um, whoa, whoa, whoa. Musashi says he's close to giving up on books. Too many SKUs to deal with. Trying wholesale now and just deal with fast moving SKUs. Well, that's too bad. Um, I'm actually going bigger into books now because I'm getting all these donations. Uh, they are, and it's because of all the worthless junk sent in. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, but see, here's the thing. Since from when I started, so from when I started, almost 6 years ago till now, it's always been the case that starting to resell books on Amazon has been easy to do. Anybody can do it as long as you have a checking account and you know the basics of operating, a computer and opening up the account, and you can just find some books to send in. Anybody can do it. Anybody can be a book reseller, and that's always been an issue, that there's low barriers to entry. However, comma, uh, you you can be better than most people if you are consistent with it. If you send in profitable books that sell, um, and you do it the right way. And what I mean by that is pricing the right way, pricing intelligently, sending in books that are actually going to sell versus sending in stuff that will never sell. A 5,000 ranked book that has 20 merchant fulfilled offers selling for $5.99. I mean, That doesn't make any sense. So it has to be the right book, and you've got to over time figure that out. But guess what? Most people uh, quit reselling books. They start and then they're done within a few months or maybe a year. Uh, However, I know you might say, well, but then there's always new people coming in. There are, but guess what? I still continue to do well with books on Amazon because I'm consistent. I've been doing it longer. I have more experience. There's somebody that's going to undercut me here and there, yes, but as long as I send in quality books, I continue to make sales. So, I try not to focus on the negative, but that's also why I diversified. So just because book selling is everyone can do it, not everyone can do CDs, not everyone can do DVDs, not everyone can do records, not everyone can do VHS tapes, or will do them, and that bears itself out when I'm out there at a library sale or at a thrift store, and everyone's just obsessing about the books and only the barcoded books, and not looking up the other books and not looking at other types of media. There's ways to combat the everybody can be a bookseller on Amazon. That, to me, that's not even a problem at all. It's a nuisance more than anything else. And when I reprice items, I'll find, oh great, this book price tanked because of these, because of these new booksellers that have zero feedback ratings or less than 10. And they decided that they don't want to make any money off these books. But that's the that's not the majority of the time. That's a small percentage of the amount of items that I send in. So, uh, that's how I look at it. So another thing is, yeah. So this could be for anything, but I always recommend you save your money. So especially as if you were going to end up, or if you are, or if you're moving towards becoming a full-time bookseller, you need to save your money for emergencies that happen. And this could be anything in life. You can have a job, you should do this, but this is my general advice. But for booksellers, especially, or also, I should say, you need to have money set aside for emergencies. So, like quarantine, right? Which is unlikely to happen again, 5, 10, 20 years from now. But, plan for having enough money to float you for at least 3 to 6 months. And we could be talking about financial planning 101 with this conversation, but it applies the same concept applies as being a bookseller. It's no different. When things happen, if you have at least 3 to 6 months of emergency funds, now for us, it's going to help you, right? Now for us as booksellers, thankfully sales went up online, but then it also was hard to source because so much, thrift stores closed down, library book sales stopped, people stopped doing garage sales. So it was really difficult for a lot of people to find books to resell. And also bulk sources stopped for a lot of people as well because people stopped donating to thrift stores. So, I get it, but that's why it's important to have that extra money set aside. And you can work on that. You don't have to do that immediately if you start reselling. This is in life in general. Know what your expenses are per month, and then times 3 months, times 6 months, and work on that. And then you have that money set aside, because as we know, this has been a crazy year, and who knows what the future holds. But you just got to be prepared as best you can for those types of scenarios. Let's see, what are we doing here? Billy, hello, Billy. I love books. I love book selling. I just got tired of dealing with Amazon's customer support. Yep, I get it. It seems like they've been losing a lot of my shipments today. This all may be due to COVID-19, but it still is frustrating. I've had 400 books sitting in delivered status for 3 weeks, and they just keep pushing back. Oh, that's terrible. Sorry to hear that, Billy. Is it the same warehouse, or are you finding that this is happening in in different warehouses? Overall, I don't see that happen to me, but from what I've heard and read from other people, and I've experienced personally over the years, Sometimes there can be a certain warehouse that, for whatever reason, it's like a black hole. When the shipments arrive, they take weeks to get checked in, or they claim they lost it and then they suddenly find it. Most of my inventory goes to a local warehouse here in California, and I don't know if it's actually a warehouse. I mean, it is a warehouse, but it might be more of a redistribution type of deal. But anyway, they usually uh, I don't usually have an issue, but I guess it might depend on, you know, FTW1. Okay. I haven't shipped to them probably a long time. Uh, but yeah, and also if Amazon is sending all your stuff there, there's nothing you can do about it. So I feel your pain. Unfortunately, that does happen, but it's not happening to everybody. And hopefully they're able to work it out, and hopefully you're able to get your stuff live. Terry says they just lost one of your shipments too. I know, and that's why I say to diversify, right? Or why I recommend diversifying to eBay, and doing some more merchant fulfilled. And if you don't have the space or don't have the mindset for it, or the patience for it, I don't know. There's nothing much you can do, right? But and I here's the thing too. The more that uh, more shipments I send in to Amazon, and the more I deal with them, the more I see random issues popping up. Nothing big, thankfully, but just little things here and there. And I know the more I send in, the more I do with Amazon, uh, like I used to in the past, that I know there will be issues, but that's bound to happen. I recommend just keep plugging away and things will hopefully work out, but maybe look into diversifying a bit. Michael says, "Good morning, good morning, Michael. Library sales will rebound, but it will likely change, and it will take time. As soon as they open, go to any friend's library and ask how you can alleviate their growing backlog." Absolutely. Michael's really good at at coming up with ways to uh, open up new avenues for books. So I think that's great. Use your creativity. Think about how to solve people's problems, right? And you can become, like I was saying, one of them is telling people what you do. Another one can be become a problem solver as a bookseller, right? How can I help you to with your backlog, or how can I help you, whatever it may be, take those books off your hands? Michael says fulfillment centers are backlogged; they will catch up. There has been a surge of inbound shipments. Absolutely. I mean, went from no shipments in like April essentially for books, and then slowly they started accepting them, and then it came back like, I don't know, a month or so ago, and now you can send in everything. But I'm sure Amazon is still catching up and getting back to full speed. So let's be patient. Yeah, absolutely. What Yeah, so sometimes it just requires some patience, which is difficult. I know, especially if you're relying on the income, especially if it's your full time income. I totally get it. But again, this speaks to my recommendation for saving money, for having money set aside for these types of situations. And I get it. Everybody's situation is different. Some people are single. They're just dealing with their own personal responsibilities. Some people have families, a spouse, or have to take care of others, and I get it, right? Sometimes it's hard to save money for that type of stuff. Put aside some money, but it will be worth it when these types of situations come up. And if you got a couple grand set aside, just as a simple number, if your expenses, everyone's different. If your expenses are 2 grand a month, well, at least try to get like 6 grand together for 3 months of emergency funds. Now, when I say emergency, I really mean emergency. Like, don't touch that money unless you have no other option to pay your bills, to whatever you need to, for the money. But that's my financial planning 101 of this stream. But I do recommend that. Uh, I saw a post. This is what gave me the idea for this theme for this video, this live video stream, was I saw a woman post in one of the Facebook groups, and some of you guys might be part of this group. It's been around a long time. I've been a part of it since, I don't know, for like 5 years or something. And there's a, a seller there who I've seen posting over the years. She's posted less frequently the last few years because she did have a baby, which she posted about in the group. And I've never met this person. I only know anything about her because of what she's posted in the group. But she was um, on the East Coast and a big time bookseller, doing everything on her own, right? Sourcing, listing, shipping, everything on her own. And she was doing big numbers, according to her, which I assume she's telling the truth. She was doing six figures. She also talked about how she was saving like 40% of her income and investing it in the stock market and planning, for her retirement and that type of thing. And she just posted saying that she's leaving book selling, and moving out of the country, and not sure what to do with her account, and talking about wholesale and this, that, and the other. And so it just reminded me, or it just made me think of the idea of utilizing book selling like she did. She said she had her account for 13 years. I assume she's been selling for that long. So that would be back to 2007. And I believe FBA started in 2007. So I don't know if that was just coincidence on her part or if that's why she started. But, she went for over a decade reselling, and she saved a lot of her money, apparently invested it. And now I don't know why she's moving. I don't know what she's doing with her life. If she is, in fact, she's stopping book selling. I don't know if she's effectively retiring. She may or may not be doing that. But if she is, I mean, that's an example of someone who, went really, really big with Amazon FBA, big time. And I know she had posted a lot saying that she doesn't sleep that much. She's working like crazy hours. That's all she does. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but it was just an example, an extreme example of someone who can use book selling, to have a great income and a comfortable life, but also save a huge chunk of that money so that she could then, when she needs or wants to, leave the business and retire or go off and do something else. So that was an inspiration, and an example of that. Yeah, Terry, because you're in the ICU in the group, so you know who I'm talking about. Um, ba, 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 ba. Yeah, Musashi. I mean, that's what. And she apparently had worked at a financial, like either an accounting firm or financial planning firm or something when she was much younger. And so she learned all about the importance of paying yourself first, investing for the long term and all that stuff. But she plowed in like a huge percentage of her income, and she was making a lot of money. So rather quickly, she was able to accumulate a lot of investments. And I presume that that's what she's going to be, living off of. I have no idea. She could be, married somebody, or she could just be going off with her child and living in another country where it's potentially less expensive. And I don't know. But just an example of that. Let's see. Michael says, I used to volunteer at an affluent thrift store that would get 1 to 2 Gaylords worth of books daily. Wow, that's a lot. I would get first crack at books in return for helping with shelving the books. They don't allow volunteers anymore, but the manager offered me a part-time position to work there, so it is something to ponder, but definitely think about this angle at a busy thrift near you. Yeah. Definitely. There's different ways to go about it. That's crazy, though. 1 to 2 Gaylords of books daily of donations. That's impressive. Wow. Michael says the books are lucrative enough where I just might put in 20 hours a week there. See if there's a thrift near you that is super busy. Terry, no, yeah, I usually, Well, I mean, I use my personal account if I ever post there, uh, but I rarely post like a question. I used to do it more often, but I usually just post like comments here and there. Uh, so yeah, I don't post that often in that group. Starting a thread or whatever. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I know I was talking yesterday about my book ad and whether or not I was, how it was going and that type of thing. And just yesterday, I was contacted by two people through the book donation ad on Facebook. Excuse me, and I was able to pick up two donations yesterday. So one was one box of books, and another one was 5 boxes of books. Excuse me. And so from between those two, I was able to put together an FBA shipment, and it's all ready here. I just have to put on the labels and tape up the boxes. There was actually a split. It was 31 items, and it split between two warehouses. 28 of them went to my local one, and another one went to the other side of the country. But one of those books was the most valuable book that I had in the group. So I figured I'll just let the split happen. Um, but yeah, those 5 boxes, I was able to find a good amount of books for Amazon, and I found like 6, I think, from the other donation. So I was definitely appreciative of that. They were appreciative, or actually, I only met the second the people with the 5 boxes, but they were definitely appreciative of it because they wanted, they wanted somewhere to give their books, and they wanted to free up some space. So here's the thing about it. One of the things about it is the person that donated 5 boxes. I actually, when I first ran my ad in early May, they contacted me and they said that they needed some time to get together the donation because they still had some books to go through. Here, let me see. It was actually back on May 9th. They asked where I was located. I said, when are you thinking about donating books? I said, probably in a couple of weeks. We're still going through things. We are flexible on timing. And I said, okay, I can message you in a few weeks. And that was on May 9th. And then June 13th, which was what? When was June 13th? That was 17, 16. Oh, so that was like Saturday. Uh, I messaged them. I said, hi, I'm checking in with you about your book donations. And then she got back to me yesterday. And she said, oh, sorry about the delay. So basically, over a month later, I got back to her, and then she said that she had five boxes ready to go, and I was able to pick that up yesterday. So what do you call it? So that's the good thing about this. The ad that I'm running is that I can follow up with people that say I need a little bit of time, and they are thankful because they're the ones that contacted me, and they also want to get those books out of their hands. So the donation was a combination of newer books and much older books. I brought a few here. I haven't even looked them up. Um, some books that are very old. This is some memoir. I don't know. It looks like it's a pretty old book, but when I first opened the pages the pages. When I first opened the boxes, all I saw was older books, and as I started to go through them, which is fine, there can be some valuable stuff in there, and some stuff that people might want to buy at my local sale. Um, but as I started to go through it, there was a good amount of books that were, with barcodes that were newer. So there's this one, Memoir of the Life and Labors of the Reverend Adon. Wow, I don't know. So it says though, the date is 1853. Wow. So this is the oldest book I've ever seen. It's from 1853. It's got that this little sheet here. I don't know. I forgot what this is called. This has a specific name where it's see-through, and it goes over the guy's picture here. I can't remember the name of it. But I'll look that one up. So I got some really old stuff like that. And then there was this one in there, which the spine came off of. Supposed to be like that. And I think it's in another language. Yes. It's in another language. From 1919. Hugo Riemanns. You can see here. So clearly the spine is off and all that, but it's an old book from the early 1900s, and I don't know. I'll look it up and see. So there's a lot of older books in there, so that was pretty cool to find that stuff. Terry and Michael, too much physical work. Oh, that's a good idea. Michael says, I found that with some donors, you have to prod them to keep them interested, and I found that offering them free boxes to leave for them often speeds up the process. That's a good idea. Yeah, there's some other people that I can contact again that haven't gotten back to me and said they needed some time, so I'll try and see with them. But that's the cool thing about it. And I honestly think that anybody can do this. You can just start a Facebook page, your book selling page, and run an ad. I mean, I'm spending $5 a day, which is about $150 a month. But, this donation alone, these two donations alone, I'm going to make more than that just off FBA. I'm not talking about selling books in my local sale or any books that I can list and sell on eBay. So, which I'm sure there's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of older books in there. I mean, just the ones that I showed you. I wouldn't be surprised if these are worth some money. And as we're finishing up here, I'll just look this up on eBay just for fun. But but yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth the time and effort to do, and the money to list. Whoops, what is this doing? To list on eBay. Labors of, let's see, Judson. What? eBay is not working at the second, it says. Huh. Well, according to eBay, there's no there's this book has not been sold in the last 3 months, but it doesn't look like there's anybody that has this old copy. But anyway, all right, guys. So what else did I talk about? Oh, and before we leave, I know there's only a couple people left. I know people are probably going out to source, but anyway, people that watch this in the future can watch this. Is I sold this CD from Tarsi Sue. So here's the cover. A young Tarsi Sue, who I'd never heard of. You can see on the CD, it says Tarsi Sue, and it's actually in Chinese. It's actually a Taiwanese artist. Here's the back. She's just hanging out. I don't know what kind of music it is from Taiwan, but regardless, because it had her name and whatnot, I looked it up and I listed it. It was from a Gaylord. Listed it probably a few months ago. I just sold it on eBay for $49.99. So that happened yesterday afternoon as I was going to eat dinner. So that was a nice eBay sale to end the day. A lot of these foreign language CDs, especially some of the Chinese language, Vietnamese, Korean. What else have I found? Of course, Spanish language, but a lot of the different Asian languages. Some of these CDs are definitely worth looking up. And if it has nothing written in English on it, you can utilize Google Translate to help you try to figure out what it's called. And there's probably, I think there's a way to just take a picture of it and see if eBay finds another copy of it on there, because some of those can go for good money on eBay especially. So I think keep that or consider that as well. All right, guys. So I appreciate everybody that's been here live and anybody that watches us in the future. Today we talked about how to have longevity in book selling. And I appreciate everyone that's chimed in and participated. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. But let's play the song to get out of here.
Flippin' live, flippin' live,
The theme song.
flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, we're flippin' live.
Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate everybody that watches live and those that watch in the future. So this has been day 45 of Flippin' Live. That rhymes. Not every day rhymes, but 45 of Flippin' Live. So that's a month and a half of going live every day from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific time. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday. You're able to find some good stuff to resell, list, be productive, get some sales. So, and just generally have a good day. Today is a day that I can go into the warehouse. Anyway, I'm working in the warehouse today. So appreciate you guys watching. Give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for Flippin' Live. Thank you guys for watching. Keep booking and stay safe. Make sure and stay safe. Take care, guys.